Ahoy there, my friends. Welcome to Star Wars Transmissions, Tales of the Jedi, Season 1. Holy crap. I got my main homegirl with me, Dani girl,
Hello.
ready to break down Season 1 of Tales of the Jedi. And obviously, before we start diving into Tales of the Jedi, if you have not watched any of the episodes of Season 1, get those booty cheeks out of here. Drop what you're doing. Go watch Season 1. Come back. Join us. This way you're not getting anything spoiled. So there's your spoiler warning. So let's first start with, how did you feel about this season overall?
Said this before. Any Star Wars is better than no Star Wars. Overall, I really enjoyed it. There were a couple of things that I know we're going to talk about today. Then we were started a little slow with Dooku's story. A couple things about Ahsoka's. We were not super, it was good. Parts of it were great. But I'm just talking a whole lot of nothing right now. But overall, let's go with this.
Yeah, when I was getting stuff together for our stream, I landed on a 7 as well. And we did not talk about that before.
No, we didn't.
We started
I'm
streaming.
impressed.
I thought a 7 as well. Had spectacular moments, had moments that were had some really entertaining moments, and then had moments where I was scratching my head saying, what the hell, man? But overall, I enjoyed it. It's Star Wars, and you've heard me say this before, any Star Wars is better than no Star Wars. Immortal Emperor Tenebris, thanks for joining the chat. We're going to be talking about Yaddle for sure. Don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. I was super pumped with that episode, Yaddle's inclusion in the episode. I thought that was probably one of my, shouldn't say probably, it was my favorite episode of the season, and that moment was, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. I think that just the inclusion of Yaddle just goes to show us and remind us what a weirdo Yoda was.
Oh my god, I know. If you have not been reading any of the High Republic novels or comics, it has been revealed that Yaddle talks like a normal being, a normal sentient being speaking galactic basic. Yoda is a wackadoo. Love my homeboy, but he's a goddamn weirdo. And this episode just, solidifies Yoda's a frog, hopped up maybe on goofballs, talking in riddles.
Did too much LSD as a youngling.
His brain's fried. So when Dani and I were preparing for this, we said, let's start. I use the term bad loosely. It's not bad. Ahsoka's arc was good. It had excellent moments. But I think of the two arcs, it was my it was my pick for weaker of the two. And I think you agree with that, right?
I did. And you know what? It pains me to say this because we both
love Ahsoka.
So much. But I think overall, Dooku's storyline showed more growth, and honestly the third Ahsoka episode was just kind of a bummer.
Great point. Dooku's story arc did a lot to show, to give us an understanding as an audience, to give the audience a better understanding of Dooku, his decision to leave the Jedi Order and to turn to the dark side. Absolutely. Where Ahsoka's story arc, I didn't feel like it added a ton, added some stuff to what we know about Ahsoka, but not a ton, especially in terms of her motivations, character development. Just gave us more information about her life history. Whereas with Dooku's story arc, I feel like it really helped provide more character development and growth and understanding of a character that in canon has kind of been pushed to the wayside to some extent.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe we're being really picky because let's be real, this was only in total, 30 to 40 minutes of storytelling for each arc. But I think Dooku's kind of like we said, showed a little bit more insight as to like his motivations, how he got to where he was. And Ahsoka, I mean, it was just fun to see her and go along for the ride.
Absolutely. Bull Run Jared, welcome to the chat. Jared, if you haven't watched, get those cheeks out of here, man. Get them booty cheeks out of here, because we're going to be dropping spoilers left and right. So let's get into it. Let's start with episode 1. And this episode is called Life and Death. And I did appreciate this episode. It was a little bit of a slower episode, but I did really enjoy it. I enjoyed seeing little baby Ahsoka and her parents. Pavti is her mother's name, and Nikhil. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but that's her father's name. I thought it was cool that we got to be introduced to both her parents, seeing how excited Ahsoka's father was when Ahsoka was born, and the fact that they call her Soka.
Little Soka.
Like, how freaking adorable.
All her or some of her father figures in her life calling her little Soka.
That
So
was really wonderful, and just totally plucked at my heartstrings, because it made me think of Plo Koon and how Plo Koon calls her little Soka. So I really appreciated that, and seeing the moments of little baby Ahsoka being born was dope. And again, here's her parents. Pavti is on the left, Nikhil on the right, and I love Togrutas are one of the coolest looking species in Star Wars. So I played SWTOR for years, and one of my characters was a Togruta Jedi. Oh my god, can't remember what they're called. They're basically like Jedi healers, kind of like a paladin, and I'm totally drawing a blank on the name. But Togrutas are such cool looking species, and I love that her mother has similar color skin as Ahsoka, and her father's got that like purplish hued skin, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool to see the villagers and kind of just a little bit of differentiation between.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And I'm trying to remember, because we did see, I believe it was Shilly in later seasons of the Clone Wars. I think it was season 4 or 5. Anakin and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, I think, go to Shilly to stop a Zygerian slaver from capturing a bunch of Togrutas and enslaving them, and that village looked very different from this village. Definitely got a different vibe. We talked about this. It seemed to me that Ahsoka's mother, the matriarch of the tribe named Gantika, if they're not exactly worshiping the Force, it seems like they have a religion or something based around the Force, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that part of the episode too. Just kind of like getting, I don't know, I don't want to say like it's not getting back to their roots, but like they definitely have a reverence and a respect for life force and life and death. And it was really, I liked how this episode.
Yeah, I love your term, the life force, because we see there's a moment where Pavti is being attacked by that tiger, and she's firing off blaster shots, and Gantika knows something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And she clutches this, it looked like it's not supposed to be a kyber crystal. At least I didn't think it was supposed to be a kyber crystal, but my thought is it might be some sort of item that could have some maybe connections to the Force or something like that. But yeah, I got the vibe that this is a tribe of Togruta, that whether it's because you heard Nikhil when Ahsoka's mother is going to take Ahsoka on the hunt, referring to old traditions. So I don't know if it's an older tradition to follow, or to have a connection with the Force, or maybe follow whatever religion that they have with this tribe. But either way, I thought that was really cool and really interesting to see.
Yeah, and I mean, as the elder of this village, this tribe, this group of people, I think Gantika, whether that stone or necklace or whatever she had, maybe that is the connection, or maybe that is passed down from elder to elder or something.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we've seen in Rogue One and now in Andor. That's dope. I like that. I don't know if that's the case, but I like that idea. That's a really
There's spitballing
really
here.
cool idea.
I just want to quickly say I can't read it from over here, but yes, Ahsoka is an adorable baby. Hot take, she's cuter than a lot of most babies.
I will agree with that. Hold on. Let's see what the chat's popping off. So Ahsoka cuter than Grogu? Oh, I don't know. That's tough. Grogu is like one of the most adorable.
He's an adorable ugly.
Yes, I'm also like you've heard me say this a billion times. Yoda's been my favorite character ever since I was a little kid. Yoda's my homeboy, so like I'm gonna have a soft spot for Yoda, Yaddle, Grogu. Ahsoka's adorable. I don't know if I would say though she's more adorable than Grogu.
Their own.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So we get this scene now where Ahsoka and her mother go on this hunt. It's some sort of tradition. And I really like this because we're seeing how Ahsoka is connecting with her surroundings. I got the sense that she was connecting with not just, we see the scene of her mother like hitting the little, or it's not little, but that weird looking like plant that kind of had like those dandelion things flying around, right? There's birds. She seemed to have a connection. Yep, there's chipmunks. She seemed to have a connection with that goat deer thing when it was dying. I got a sense that she could feel its pain and its death. And you see here this still from the show is right when her mother is getting ready to kill the deer, and Ahsoka's face is pained, and her mother says, "You need to know death. You have to understand death." But I really like that we're seeing that at a very young age, she clearly was able to connect with other beings that surrounded her at an infant state. Maybe I don't. Wait, she's a 1 year. Is a 1 year old considered an infant at that point or no?
Maybe a little toddler.
We'll say a toddler.
I'm so bad at this.
Being able to connect with other beings is pretty dope.
Yeah. Awesome.
Right? I don't know if we've seen that at all in canon before. I know we've got scenes in the Clone Wars in season 2 where Cad Bane is hunting Force-sensitive children. And I think
are you talking about animals specifically?
Yeah, I don't know.
Have you forgotten Ezra Bridger?
But Ezra's not 1 year. My point was that young.
Young.
Because
gotcha. Sorry.
In season 2 of the Clone Wars, Cad Bane is hunting down Force-sensitive children. And I think I recall one of the kids using the Force to float an object. But in terms of like connecting to beings, I don't know if we've ever seen another character do that so young. And you bring up Ezra Bridger. That was kind of my point. Think about in Rebels how difficult it was for Ezra to connect with those beings. And he was a teenager in the early stages of his training. This is an infant or a toddler, we'll say, with no training whatsoever.
I'm just thinking about Ezra, like, what is it? Is it Myox that he, like...
Fernox?
Fernox? I can't remember. Those really...
Yeah, Fernox.
Ghoulish-looking animals. Like, those I know he was, like, trying to connect with the Force to control, but I feel like
that's true. That's a good point.
He did have, like, he was, like, look at the Purgles. Like, look at all these other animals that were maybe more welcoming to the Force that he was able to connect with a lot easier.
That's true. Regardless, I think it's just dope that we get to see this little toddler, little infant, connecting with her surroundings and the creatures that surround her. So dope. And this wild cat, Jesus Christ. Saber-toothed tiger. I remember when the High Republic was being announced and people lost their minds about, like, there was the board of them, the brain trust of the High Republic, basically talking about all the different animals that they were going to put in the High Republic, and one of them was Star Wars, and like people lost their mind, even though like a mythosaur is essentially a dinosaur.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah.
But said Star Wars. Like...
Oh, sorry, dinosaur.
Like, yes, they were talking
I say
about
this
Star
because
Wars.
I love kooky, cool, prehistoric animals. I mean, we even get a shot in a later episode where there's like an emaciated dog in the first, I think, was it the first episode with Qui-Gon and Count Dooku, where they go to that village that
that's the second one.
Maybe.
The first one was with Mace.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Either way, this saber-toothed tiger is dope. And again, Ahsoka can totally connect with this tiger here, which again, I thought it was really cool. I love this image of the tiger just carrying Ahsoka
Took her by her scruff, and his just like, all right, let's go back to my place. Let's go hang for a bit.
And Ahsoka's just chilling, not a care in the world, really. You would think most toddlers would be freaking out.
He was having fun, but I feel like maybe that was her just being able to, like, okay, he's maybe more bark than bite. Like,
I think so. I think that's the point. I think that was the whole thing, was that she could sense that this tiger probably wasn't going to really hurt her.
Yeah, so she was just a chill little babe.
I'm going to get this image. I'm going to put it on a shirt of just the saber-toothed tiger holding Ahsoka by the scruff of its neck. And this image is just so dope. I know we saw this in the trailer, but like, how freaking awesome. I love this image. I love this moment. Just seeing her connect with this tiger was great. And from there, we get her riding into town on this saber-toothed tiger's back.
I know. I love that she connected with the tiger and was like, okay, it's time.
Look at that little smile.
I know. Connected and says, it's time to go back home.
Just so adorable. And again, I think that just goes to show you the strength of her Force connection at such a young age. And one of the things I kept thinking about during this series of episodes, her arc, the fact that she trains with Anakin. And I know this is something that we've talked about in the past and others have talked about, but Ahsoka is a super powerful freaking Jedi, man. And I love that we're getting a sense that, at least for me, like, yeah, this is a character that is, even at a very young age, has a very strong connection to the Force. So that was the one thing I really enjoyed about this episode, that I took the most out of this episode from. So yeah. And then we get the matriarch Gantika saying she's a Jedi. So yeah, I mentioned this to you. I thought that maybe Gantika might be slightly Force sensitive, could sense the Force, or she has some knowledge of the Force, that's for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree. And whether maybe that's passed down knowledge or whatnot, is the matriarch elder of this tribe. Like, she's the keeper of the knowledge.
Yeah. All right, before we move on, let me catch up with the chat here. Jared, I don't like the Inquisitors from Obi-Wan. Dude, I love the Inquisitors. I thought they were done pretty well. Some minor gripes, but overall, I really liked the Inquisitors in Obi-Wan. Bull Run, I love when Star Wars does earthly animals. Yeah, I completely agree. And as I mentioned earlier, when we got that shot of the emaciated dog, although it bummed me out that the dog was clearly hungry, seeing a dog, I don't know if we've ever seen, have we seen a dog in Star Wars before?
Real life Star Wars? No.
In cartoons, in comics, books.
Goddamn, they better give us a Charhound or I will riot.
I would love to see a Charhound in a cartoon or something. I mean, I know we've got the Charhounds, but I'm talking about like an actual creature that looks very much like an earthly dog. I think that's the only one that I can recall that we've ever gotten.
Little Chow Chows in this episode that's hanging out with Gantika.
So, yeah.
Tuca hounds? I don't even know.
Yeah, we did see those little hounds, and I was like, are those Tuca hounds? Are those Tuca cats? What are those supposed to be?
Dogs.
Little flurry, kind of chunky monkey fur balls.
They're like, little panda dogs.
Yeah. All right, now let's move on to the next episode. Go ahead.
No, I'm just like looking at all the people watching Ahsoka train.
So what was the name of this one? Was this one, this one was Resolve, I believe. Yes. Resolve.
I did not write down the episode.
I did. I stopped at Resolve. I didn't get the name of the last one. For some reason, I forgot to write the last one. So yes, this one is called Resolve. This one I really enjoyed.
Yep.
This one, I don't want to say it doesn't have a lot of meat to the story. It does, but it was still super freaking entertaining.
What it did not have in meat, it made up for in pulling my heartstrings.
I know. And I mean, even this shot here, like Ahsoka training with my boy Tara Sinube, dude. Now that we know Tara Sinube's fate, like whenever you don't know the official fate of a character, you can pretty much assume for the most part they probably died in Order 66.
Yeah.
But now that we know our man's not only was killed in Order 66, he was displayed like a trophy. Seeing him, every time I've seen him since, like, absolutely breaks my heart. Absolutely breaks my heart. But
her peanut gallery, man.
Wait, say that again.
Sorry, her peanut gallery.
Yeah. Love it. We got Mullet Obi-Wan, Jesus Christ Obi-Wan. Love that. Anakin. So this takes place after the Clone Wars movies. I'm assuming, I don't know if it's taking place before or after season 1 of the Clone Wars. My thought is it's going to take place after season 1 of the Clone Wars, but I'm not positive on that. But yeah, we got Mullet Obi-Wan, Plo in the back, next to Yoda, Mace Windu in front of Plo Koon, and then on the left, our freaking boy Caleb Doom and freaking Depa Billaba. Caleb Doom, that's our boy Kanan Jarrus from Star Wars Rebels. So seeing him, and especially his excited look when Ahsoka was murking these remotes was dope. Anakin is kind of like, because Ahsoka's destroying it in this training, and Anakin's kind of like not impressed, which I get, right? The Clone Wars is popping.
He was being such a little jerk in this first like couple scenes.
Yes, he was. Well, my thought was it was kind of like, this is a waste of time. Why are we doing this? These droids are not, these remotes, I should say, are not going to really help prepare someone for the war and the brutality of war, I should say.
Right. So
that was my thought of why he was being kind of antsy in the pantsy with her. So yeah. Bull Run, this is where I only have a retcon problem. How does Caleb know Ahsoka? Though Caleb said to Ahsoka, I don't know you. I don't recall.
I mean, must have been the Rebels at that point.
Rebels. I don't recall. I have to go back and watch Rebels. It's been a little bit since I've rewatched Rebels.
And I can totally respect that. I mean, there's not many people running around the galaxy that look like Ahsoka. So, I don't know, maybe we can just blame it on him blocking out everything that happened before Order 66 because he was so traumatized. Yeah,
that's we're going to get into retcons for sure in this episode. Or excuse me, in this breakdown. That's a retcon that I could probably be okay with. Dude, now I want to go back and watch Star Wars Rebels. I just crushed Game of Thrones. I'm like, oh, what show should I watch? Maybe I'm going to go do a Rebels rewatch. Thank you for planting that seed in my brain, Bull Run. I appreciate that. So yeah, going back to Ahsoka training with the remotes, my thought was Anakin was just like, this is a waste of time. Let's get you some real training. And right away, my thought was, oh my God, this is totally reminding me of season 7 of the Clone Wars. And that was exactly the whole point, which I freaking loved. But seeing the clones rocking the phase 2 armor, I think it is, was dope. Ahsoka has her one lightsaber here. Cause yeah, in season 1 of Clone Wars, she's only rocking the one lightsaber.
Thank God they put her in a normal sized top.
Yep. I did appreciate too, like right before they circle up, or maybe is it after? I can't remember. We see one of the clones, and you chuckled at this. They were like kind of, I don't remember if they were like goofing around, or did one of them do something stupid? Or no,
it was when Jesse made a comment about like,
I think he stunned Ahsoka too. He put the stun on too high of
yeah, it was when she was out for an hour, and he's like hanging out in the background, like leg up a little bit, waving. He's like, sorry, it was me.
I really appreciated that, and you got a chuckle out of it as well. I thought that was great. But yeah, seeing this training was really cool, and I love it. Makes the name of the episode that much more dope. Resolve, showing that Ahsoka, all these years from the start of the Clone Wars up until the ending of the Clone Wars, basically, she was regularly doing this, regularly training and preparing herself, which makes what happens in season 7 that much baller, knowing that she trained repeatedly to be able to accomplish what she did in that season.
At Anakin's bequest.
Yeah. Yes. How sad is that? Jesus Christ.
I
Like, talk about like
know.
Oedipal, almost like Oedipus sort of a thing where,
But I mean, it
oh,
may not have had a ton of meat to it, but man, this is like,
wow.
whew.
That is, I never thought about that.
All right.
Our boy freaking Anakin making her do this training, and it's because of him. Well, not
Not because of
entirely,
him,
but
but
he plays a hand in why she and Rex have to protect themselves in season 7, and
and
why
then
this
why
training.
and why she can escape.
Jesus,
Dun dun dun.
Jesus Christ! It's Jason Bourne.
Dropping that hammer.
Wow, that's dope. I
Yeah,
like
man.
it. Love this shot because now we fast forward. Some time has gone by. This is like her season 6 outfit. Pretty sure season 5, season 6. No, she leaves in season 5, so it's her season 5 outfit that she's rocking right here. Thought this was dope. And then we find out at the end of the episode, all of her training helped prepare her for this damn moment.
I mean, and this part where she's all spinning and they're all standing around the podium, but then to cut to this, I
Yes.
was like, oh.
Right?
Oh.
And this
Oh.
shot, like, oh my God, dude. This was definitely the best Ahsoka episode. I think we could probably both agree.
Oh,
right?
hands down. Yeah.
This moment was definitely pulling at my heartstrings. It went from like, oh, this is cool. I really appreciate that it's making me think about season 7 and Order 66 to, oh my God, we're seeing Order 66. Oh God, no. I'm glad they ended it the way that they did. But man, this was really dope to see.
I know. I think we both kind of looked at each other as soon as because they did the kind of like 2 time skips. And when they did the time skip to her with her outfit from season 7 and the headband, we both looked at each other and goes, oh no.
Oh no. Oh no. But really great. Now let's move on to probably my least favorite episode
Of Ahsoka? Or in general?
Of Ahsoka, definitely. Possibly of the season.
Okay.
Had its moments, but it bums me out. Let's first talk about some of the good stuff. Seeing Padme's funeral, we knew from the trailer that this was going to happen. Still sad, still stings seeing it.
I loved how they did like literally the 2 exact shots from the movie.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
One of the things I will say that I try to like my friends that are Star Wars fans that don't watch the cartoons, one of the things I try to tell them is, hey, listen, the cartoons totally help complement, especially the Clone Wars, totally help complement what happens in the prequels. And I freaking love that. And I love that. I say that because seeing this scene here just is always gut-wrenching, knowing why Padme died and knowing that Ahsoka was there. I do like that. That is something that I really like. And then we get a scene where Bail sees her, Ahsoka leaves, and Bail stops her and he's asking her, like, why would you risk coming here? And her response is, this was my friend. And you see her face, and it's such a pained, sad, heartbroken look that she has on her face. I'm like, oh, what a freaking bummer, man.
I know, because you have to figure like Padme and Ahsoka knew each other for years. We'll say, I'm going to put on the record, I still hate how Padme died, but
Yeah,
you know,
it's not the best
die
way.
Of heartbreak. I
wish
did her dirty.
I wish they would have said Anakin choked her to death or something, but whatever.
Okay, it's not what this for.
And I really liked not only the sky in the background of this image, but just seeing Bail basically planting the seeds of Ahsoka working with him and the eventual burgeoning rebellion, which is dope. So we get the death of Padme is kind of sort of leading to Ahsoka's participation in the Rebel Alliance, which is dope because from the Ahsoka novel, we know she and Bail are going to work together to start putting together the Rebel Alliance intelligence service. So I really like seeing that here, knowing that hey, eventually Bail and Ahsoka are going to be working together with the rebellion.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. That I could get down with that.
I also
I think-
like. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think moving on from this point in this episode is where it kind of gets a little.
Yeah, this is where it kind of lost me. But one quick thing,
Yeah.
I did like where Ahsoka's like, she jumps away because the troopers are coming, the clone troopers are coming. She jumps up to be out of view, and Bail's speaking to her. The clone troopers think they're speaking to them.
What is
He's
this
like,
weirdo?
whatever you need, just let me reach out to me whenever you need something.
They're like, yeah, bro, we need you to get back to the processional.
Procession,
like,
man, we got a job to do. Let's go, chop chop. And then this shot, oh my god, dude. Another moment that was just heart wrenching. Seeing these
Congrats.
two still traveling on the Y-wing that we saw them escape with at the end of season 7 in the series finale of the Clone Wars. They still got that Y-wing. They're using it to travel around, and they use that to get to Naboo to go and so that Ahsoka could go and attend Padme's funeral. Kind of a bummer that Rex didn't attend. But I
Well,
guess
it
he
may-
wasn't super close with Padme. He knew her.
no, maybe he's like, you know what? I'm still rocking my clone outfit, so you shouldn't be seen.
That's true. And he does have he's got the shaved blonde hair. So yeah, this is where the episode kind of lost me. And this was my concern with this. Once we saw the Inquisitor, my concern was we were going to see a retcon, and this is kind of what happened. And I'm not here for it. I'm usually not like, I usually don't get up in arms about retcons, but this to me, essentially almost an entire book was retconned.
This is really frustrating. Like if you want to, and I know this is what everybody's argument is, if you want to get rid of the book and things that happen in the book, then just say it's Legends. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But don't continue to say it's canon and then literally just have like total opposite things happen in
This is
the TV show.
this is where I'm like, bro, you literally, there was a whole series of expanded universe stuff put together before Disney purchased Lucasfilm. And you've heard me say this, some of the EU stuff, that the Legend stuff will say, some of it is hot dog shit. Some of it is fantastic. Some of it is some of my favorite stuff in all of Star Wars. But what's the point of the story group? What's the point of having stuff be canon if it's not going to gel? That's the whole purpose of the story group, is to make sure that the canon gels and we're not having these things. And that's kind of, I joked and said the Dave Filoni special, that's been his thing. He definitely is okay with retconning things as long as it helps the story. But my thing is, they've essentially retconned a book.
Yeah, I mean it's just a bummer because some of the characters, like, it was obviously it's only a 15-minute episode. Like, you were able to in the book to flesh out a lot more things, a lot more character development. Characters were changed. I mean, maybe they'll show up again, but I doubt it.
So let's talk. I'm going to have you talk about some of the stuff in the Ahsoka novel that differs from what we saw in the episode. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Before we do that, let's
Okay.
go through and talk about the episode, because we see here it's similar from what we get in the book, because we see here she's on this. It's not identified in the Ahsoka novel. It's a moon called Ra'eda. She's going by Ashla at this point. It takes place a year after Order 66. So we could assume that it's probably Ra'eda. The one girl calls Ahsoka Ashla, so that tracks. Ahsoka winds up saving her using the Force, which this is where I'm trying to remember exactly in the Ahsoka novel how Ahsoka she saves someone with the Force, and that's how they figure out that she was a Jedi. I just don't, it's been so long since I read the novel, I can't remember. But we see here, this girl is speaking to Ahsoka, and she's telling her, hey, your secret's safe with me. This girl's, we don't, do they refer to that guy as a brother? I don't even know.
It's her brother. So I guess my only thought is maybe this is just another thing that happens. Like, we don't actually know what the planet's name is. They didn't actually give them names. I mean, we're making assumptions here. So, maybe we're wrong.
From there, the girl's wiener brother rats on Ahsoka, calls the sixth brother, which one of the things I will say, I love the sixth brother's look. Like, looks absolutely ferocious and like terrifying.
Do we absolutely know that that's the sixth brother?
We don't. My thought is it is the sixth brother. I remember E.K. Johnson, she tweeted that it's not the sixth brother.
So you know what? Maybe we're making fools of ourselves. Maybe this is just another run-in with another Inquisitor that Ahsoka had on another farm. I don't know.
On another
I'm just saying.
farm where she stops his lightsaber using her hands. She catches it. I don't know. But either way, my thought is it's the sixth brother. But Homegirl makes quick work of him. Judo chops him. Looks dope. This character, whether it's a sixth brother or not, looks dope as hell. Ahsoka's a badass, catches his lightsaber just like she did also in Rebels against seventh sister? Ninth sister? I can't remember which one it was. What's the
sister?
Yeah, one of the sisters in Star Wars Rebels in season 2. And here's the schwanker that rats Ahsoka out. We don't get his name. But let's dive into how this episode differs from what happens in the Ahsoka novel. So lay it on me, sister.
All right. Well, I'll just say we're making a lot of assumptions.
We
here,
are. And
but-
Bull Run, to your point, this could be potentially at the end of the book. It could take place at a different spot. Before, my thought is there's a lot of similarities that they're supposed to be the same thing. That's my thought.
There's a lot of back and forth after a year after the Galactic Empire was formed. Ahsoka went to Thebesca. So really, the novel takes place between Thebesca and Raeda. When she left Thebesca after working with the Fardi clan, she poses as a mechanic on Raeda, and she befriends Caden Larte. Where she does work for her, kind of like to get rations so she can feed herself. And she befriends Caden and Caden's sister Miara, and the rest of like the farming crew that's there. I'm really skipping over a lot of stuff because there was a lot of Ahsoka goes back to Thebesca and then she comes back to Raeda, and there was just a lot more stuff going in. But at a certain point, one of the big things that happens is that she was going by Ashla, and Caden finds out that Ashla is a Jedi, and her name is Ahsoka. And then Ahsoka kind of starts to plant the seeds of rebellion and coordinating an uprising on Raeda.
Can you refresh my memory?
Oh, if I can refresh my own.
At one point in the Ahsoka novel, the Inquisitors, Inquisitors and the Empire come to Raeda, and I think that's when Ahsoka dips back to Thebesca, and possibly when she goes to Ilum. I think that's what happens, because either it's Miara or Caden. They wind up, I believe, getting captured and maybe tortured.
So Caden gets captured while Ahsoka is off-world, and then when she goes to save Caden when she comes back to
Is that
Raeda,
when she fights?
But first, Caden confesses her feelings to Ahsoka that she likes her. So I think one of a bummer that also I was seeing in this episode is like we had a character that was one of the first LGBTQ characters. She was also people believe that she was a Black character, so it's just kind of like a little frustrating that if it is the same situation, we just kind of did some erasure of characters that we really need to see more of in Star Wars.
Yeah,
kind of sucks,
right? Those are great points, because I don't want to say forget about your retcon. If this is indeed a retcon, that to me sucks, because again, you're retconning some pretty big details from the novel. But
just another thing, and one other thing where I'm thinking this is still along the same story, is that Bail does come and help them during the uprising.
Correct.
So Ahsoka does battle the sixth brother. Granted, she blows up his lightsaber, and that's where she gets the kyber crystals from for her own lightsaber. But once Caden's rescued, they make plans to evacuate, and Bail basically comes with some ships and helps him get out of there.
Yeah.
Get off that planet.
So yeah, I think for me, what's a bummer is, and I completely forgot about this stuff with Caden being LGBTQ and potentially black. That sucks. That's gotta sting if you're a person of color and or someone that's LGBTQ if you're retconning those characters. So this is an episode that we don't know. We're making some assumptions here. We don't know if the strokes in this episode are retconning stuff from the Ahsoka novel, but it totally feels like it does, and that's a bummer. And another reason why I think it does is that's been, like I mentioned, that's been Dave Filoni's thing. He is totally okay with retconning stuff if it feels like it's going to move the story in a direction that he wants to.
Yeah, and it's take it with a grain of salt. And I mean, it's only a 15-minute episode where, I mean, a book would take so much longer to tell. But I mean, if you're going to do that, or if this is like a snippet from book, you can still get like that last part, I feel like, or like a piece of the book into a 15-minute snippet where he fights sixth brother.
Yeah. So that to me is where I'm like, Ahsoka, the first episode was fun, kind of cute. Second episode was great. I liked it a lot. Third episode kind of lost me a little bit. And so that's why I feel like the Count Dooku story arc I enjoy much, much more so than Ahsoka's. So that's a good segue. Let's jump into our boy Count Dooku and his story arc. And this was great.
I just want to do just a quick observation. These bros look like they have been some serious fights. Like their noses are both jacked up.
They're very similar.
Just feel like, man, poor Qui-Gon looks like he's had his nose broken a couple too many times.
couple 2-3 times. Well, I'm totally, the one thing that caught my eye in this image is that like creature in the background. I don't know what that is, and I want to go back and watch the episode and see what that is.
Oh, they were little mice.
Oh, is that what that was? Because this is where you see them, they spot that emaciated dog.
Yes, there were mice, rats running around.
They go to this planet, so Qui-Gon and Count Dooku at this point, he's not Count Dooku, Dooku, go to this planet because something's going on. Jedi are going to investigate the kidnapping of a senator's son, which we see here. And the thing that I loved about these episodes and Dooku's story arc in this episode and in the episode choices, getting to see the decisions or the impetuses behind his choices of becoming a Sith Lord and what pushed him and propelled him to turn away from the light side and the Jedi Order and to become a Sith Lord, to become a Sith apprentice. I really love that stuff. These are all things that we assumed, you know. I think it's mentioned in Attack of the Clones and in other Star Wars content. Dooku Jedi Lost talks about this sort of stuff, but getting to see it is dope because we really haven't gotten a lot of that at all in any of the shows or movies.
Yeah, it was nice to see a little bit more of like what chips away at Dooku, to what pushes him just ever so, like, continues to push him to the dark side to make those decisions that he does, because he becomes so disillusioned with the Jedi and the path that the Council's on.
And when you see them get to this planet, Qui-Gon and Dooku, you see that this planet is a Republic planet that is just kind of desolate to some extent. Maybe not desolate is the right word, but it is bare. It is looking pretty rough.
Yeah, you can definitely tell there's not a lot of money coming through. It's definitely a little rough around the edges, and we find out that the senator isn't really helping his people out very much, or really giving a care at all.
Which is a theme that we saw in 2 episodes. Senators doing shady stuff,
Mm-hmm.
helping to propel him to formulate his ideology of the Republic is corrupt and the Jedi are probably corrupt too. And so I really like that. And there's that emaciated dog. Poor thing. Such a bummer. I mean, and you imagine being the Dooku, Qui-Gon, or any other Jedi. You go to this planet and you see these people that multiple people in this episode you see are completely emaciated. They are looking almost like skin and bones. There's one guy that you see, his face, his cheeks are so sucked in. He almost looks like his head looks like a skull with skin tightly wrapped around it.
Yeah, these people have definitely been having a very rough time. And then you have the senator roll in with his crew, and it's just this dark difference between.
I mean, look at that armor or those outfits, uniforms that they're wearing, right? And especially the senator looking kind of dapper to some extent, while these people are selling each other out just so they could have food, because this senator is basically stripping maybe not every resource, but stripping the planet of any financial opportunities and using those for himself.
I was just gonna say, I really enjoyed the cantina where when Qui-Gon and Dooku walked in and they were kind of trying to get some information and some intel, and it finally clicked that all of these people are in this together. Like they're all kidnapped this senator's son together because
this is the only option.
Yeah.
This is the only way we could enact any sort of change here. We have to take this drastic measure.
Or hope to enact some kind of change.
Yeah.
Because at the end, and I mean, there's a comment that we don't even know if there will be change.
Yep. You hear which...
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump
ahead
so far.
Right? You hear this conversation here where Dooku is saying, do you think our actions will even matter?
Yeah.
And you see Qui-Gon kind of seeming like he's got a little bit of hope, I believe. And doesn't he say, you're a better man than I, or something along those lines?
Yeah, but I'm going with Dooku on this one. I don't know if, I mean, a couple of the senators, men stuck around, but no. I don't have hope that things got better for this town, this planet.
Right, and we're seeing how Dooku is becoming disillusioned by the Jedi and the Senate and the Republic, and I don't necessarily want to say the lies, but basically the machinations that just crush the galaxy. This scene here, no surprise, right? Seeing Dooku tap into the dark side. I don't think this is the first time Dooku has tapped into the dark side. I'd mentioned this to you. I got the sense that Qui-Gon has seen him do this before, because the moment Dooku starts choking this guy, using the Force to choke him, Qui-Gon runs in and gets the senator's son and tells him to go and stop this. So my thought is Qui-Gon has seen this happen before, and he knows how to de-escalate the situation.
Yeah, and kind of get that personalized touch.
Yeah.
The situation to hopefully make Dooku see what's going on.
Which worked. Qui-Gon, man.
But again, how long is that going to work?
That's true.
I mean.
So now keeping on with more reasons for Dooku to be disillusioned, we start this episode with our boy Mace. And he's talking about how Mace basically does everything by the books. The Jedi can do no wrong. The Senate can do no wrong. And Dooku saying, I wish I could do things like that. But we know he can't. One quick thing. So this is Raxus. And we talked about this. This will wind up becoming the capital of the CIS, the Confederacy of Independent Systems. But the guard here mentions Raxus Secundus, which now I'm thinking about, could that be a different planet than the Raxus that is the capital of the CIS? But what caught my attention was Secundus, because Seleucus Secundus is a planet in Dune where the military of the Emperor are based out of, which I liked because I love Dune, and also that fact that George Lucas plucked a ton of stuff from Dune and when creating Star Wars. So I appreciated that, and I'd have to look this up after, look it up on Wikipedia. I don't know if Raxus Secundus is a different place, if this is like a city on Raxus, or if they're the same place. But either way, I enjoyed the inclusion of Secundus because it connection to Dune. And so again, sticking with that theme of senators that are shady and are trifling, we learn that this senator is basically using his position for financial gain, to improve his status, his finances, all at the detriment of the citizens of this planet. So connecting us to the previous episode that we see, and Mason and Dooku are on to him right from the start, but Mace does not want to push it. Mace says, hey, we're here to get, what is it, Master Matri? I think it's Master Matri, the Jedi that was killed that on this planet, which prompts the Jedi Order to send Dooku and Mace to this planet. Mace is like, hey, we're not going to push it. We're just here to get their remains to bring them back so that they could have a proper Jedi burial. And Dooku's like, nah, man, that something's sticking in my caught my crosshair with this. Something's not right. I want to investigate. I want to know what happened because this is not adding up. And sure enough, we learn that of course it's not adding up. But I love seeing Dooku and Mace ignite their lightsabers together. Just looks so dope. And some of the moves that you see them do are in this scene is so freaking cool. They're like, at one point, Dooku slices a tree and then uses the Force to push it to like crush a bunch of the droids, which was dope. And this guy here telling them like it is, basically saying, yeah, I can't trust the Jedi. This is why we had to do things ourselves, because we find out that they killed the Jedi Master Matri, I think their name is. And they didn't kill the senator because basically they were going to force the senator to do their bidding.
Yeah.
And
help the people. Which, I mean, at that point, you're like, man, they're trying to make things better, but kind of going about it in the wrong way.
And when Mace or Dooku asks them, why didn't you contact the Jedi where pieces of the keep? He's like, bro, no, you're not. You guys are essentially, you do the bidding of the Senate. You do the bidding of the Republic. And essentially all you're doing is acting as peacekeepers or law keepers, essentially for the rich and powerful of the Republic, is pretty much all you are, which is so freaking true.
I mean, that's clearly what we see a lot of times in the Clone Wars.
Right. So now think about Dooku's situation for a second. You're seeing all these injustices happen. You're seeing the Jedi to some extent turning a blind eye to the plight of galactic citizens. You're going on missions where you're seeing that happen. You're seeing senators doing corrupt things for their own financial gain, their own benefit at the detriment of their citizens. And now you're seeing people, you're seeing fellow Jedi basically just blindly following orders of the Jedi, even though they know this is not the best way we should be handling things. It totally makes sense why Dooku would become disillusioned with the Jedi, the Republic.
It was just, I thought this episode did a really good job of kind of laying out very clearly the stark differences between Dooku and Mace, and kind of like you said, how Mace wants to follow the rules, the Jedi rule book.
Yeah.
Line by line, and Dooku's like, no, there's something going on here. Like, let's figure it out. Granted, he probably didn't do it the best way, but he's still trying to figure it out.
And the more stuff we get of Mace, the more you're like, this guy is just such a wiener.
He really is.
He's such a wiener.
He sucks.
Yeah, he does suck. And Dooku's not wrong, right? Love this shot. Don't think, obviously this is purposeful, right? Bathing him in red. Of course. Dooku and Mace here talking about basically Mace doing things by the book. And because of that, we find out our boy Mace has been promoted to take Master Matri's position on the Jedi Council, and how Dooku did not get that promotion. So not only are you, again, seeing the corruption left and right from the Senate, from the Jedi, maybe not corruption, but the Jedi Order doing shady stuff, you're seeing your peers who are blindly following the wishes of the Jedi Order. Of course they're going to be promoted. Of course they're going to be able to have opportunities to join the Jedi Council. And you're being passed up.
Yep. Because you're the one who's questioning the status quo.
Yep. Love it. Again, that's the stuff, that's the juicy stuff I love about this arc. And then, oh my God, then we come to the Sith Lord episode. Ooh. My thought was, oh, this is going to be about Maul, not realizing who the Sith Lord is. Well, I guess you could say it's Dooku, possibly Sidious that they're referring to, but either way, I was not anticipating that we were going to see Sidious. Like, holy crap, man.
I thought this was a really cool shot.
Love this shot. And I also love, I mentioned this to you earlier, like, we know it was Dooku that removed Kamino from the Jedi Archive, but seeing him do that and how he did it was like, oh my God.
I think it seemed very easy to remove it.
Well,
I know.
He knows what to do. I initially I thought he might have been going into, I thought it was dope. I was like, is he going into the Bogan collection? The Bogan collection is this collection of dark side artifacts that the Jedi Order has. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be dope if they're going into the Bogan collection. But this was still dope to see him remove Kamino from the Jedi Archive. And then we learn that Qui-Gon just encountered Maul. So this is taking place during the events of The Phantom Menace. We see our homegirl Yaddle, which she was voiced by our homegirl Bryce Dallas Howard, which I thought was cool. I'm glad that we got to see Yaddle. Pour one out for our homegirl. Such a bummer how she went out, but I appreciate her inclusion in here, and this short makes her that much more of a baller. Makes me really like Yaddle.
Yeah, who knew? Yaddle was great. I'm glad that she got included in the episode. Time was short, but I think that she definitely made an impactful. She was definitely impactful in this episode, and I think it makes sense so to keep her time short, because if she was towards the end, she was definitely I wouldn't say on Dooku's side, but she was kind of starting to get those pieces of disillusionment as well. Like, yeah, you know what? The Jedi are not as great as we think they are.
Absolutely.
So it makes sense. You knew she had to go because we didn't see her again.
Yeah. So catching up with the chat here, Bull Run, Yaddle talks softly. Yeah, I thought we would get more because he kind of had like a British accent. I want to backtrack here for a second because Bull Run also thought that they were going into the Bogan collection. Yeah, that was my thought initially. Like, oh my God, we're going to see the Bogan collection. But how insane is this that we are now learning that Sidious had Dooku doing his bidding? At least the earliest would be the Phantom Menace, but at this point, it's got to be earlier than that. We can surmise that it has been happening for some decent amount of time. We don't know how long. That's kind of wild.
But with their conversation at the end of this episode, it's clear that he's been doing this for a bit, like enough where Dooku's kind of quite conflicted and thinks that he's done too much to even be redeemed.
Yeah, like, dude. So yeah, as Qui-Gon, I'm assuming this scene here is like right after Qui-Gon goes and talks to the council and is telling him, hey, I just encountered a Sith. And they're all like, no way, you encountered a Sith. And even Jocasta, Madame Jocasta knew. I call him Count Dooku. Dooku, he's not Count Dooku yet. Dooku asks Jocasta Nu after he comes out of this area. He hears commotion, all this conversation happening, and he asks Jocasta, hey, what's going on? Jocasta tells him, hey, Qui-Gon spoke with the council. He's saying he encountered a Sith Lord. Ha ha ha. There's no way that's the case. Just the disillusionment of the Jedi, the hubris that, like, this dude who is a very well-respected Jedi, he's a Jedi master, they're just going to say, yeah, this guy's no way. He's wrong. Again, the hubris.
Pretty wild. Oh, didn't Jocasta News say something like, oh, basically he had like an active imagination or something?
Something along those lines.
Like, style?
Homegirl.
Like, I can't even say the word.
Infantilization?
Of the Jedi Master. Yeah, thank you.
Infantilizing? Sure. Whatever.
Or, you know what I mean.
Calling him a pee-pee poo-poo head, basically, is what you're saying.
Sure. That's exactly what
I took this shot because I really appreciated seeing Qui-Gon and Dooku speaking to one another about Obi-Wan, and of course they dropped a line about how Dooku hoping he can meet Obi-Wan someday, because in Attack of the Clones he mentions to Obi-Wan, we finally got to meet. Bummer about Qui-Gon, blah, 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 right? So I thought that was really cool. You pointed this out to me, and I think this is great. This shot here, we see Yaddle and Dooku separate. Yaddle walks towards the light. Dooku walks towards the shadow. Obviously, there is some visual metaphor happening, which I love. I'm so glad you pointed that out to me, because that's dope.
They did it a couple times in this episode, and I thought that was great. I mean, yeah, well, I'm sure you have a screenshot of what I'm thinking of next.
We'll see. And then, oh my God, we fast forward. A little bit of time has passed, because now Qui-Gon has been murdered by Maul. And you see Dooku just remembering about his times bringing Qui-Gon to this tree, because Qui-Gon was born on Coruscant in 80 BBY, I think was the date he was born. And he just meant, I love that, because I'm pretty sure in Dooku Jedi Lost, Qui-Gon talked about how he really enjoyed going to the Arboretum in the Jedi Temple. And so I love that. That was a moment I'm like, oh my God, obviously it's heartbreaking, but also I love mentioning that Dooku was born on Coruscant, or excuse me, Qui-Gon was born on Coruscant, that he loved going to visiting this tree. Just a really special moment. I really appreciated that. And yeah, Bull Run, the scene, this totally made me think about the scene it is the season finale, I believe, of season 6 of the Clone Wars, where we get the Yoda's on that mission to speak with, I can't remember if they're the Wills, if that's what they're officially called or not, but those like beings, and they basically tell him how he's going to be able to commune, become a Force ghost. And he has this vision of Dooku as a Jedi. He never turned to the dark side. He's in the courtyard around this tree, and that totally made me think of that scene, 100%. And at this point, Yaddle can sense in him, right? My thought was Yaddle can sense that there is something going on with him, which is why she follows him.
Yeah, absolutely. And not just that he lost his previous Padawan, that he is, I feel like, deeply conflicted at this point.
Lost, right?
Yeah.
Losing your Padawan, and now you're also emotionally, maybe spiritually lost as well. And Jesus Christ, dude. As soon as we saw the works, I was like, oh my God, that's the works.
Yep, you sure did.
Knowing exactly what's coming, because Dooku and Sidious like to meet in the works, the industrial part of Coruscant. And the moment I saw Sidious, I was like, oh, MG, this is awesome. This is insane. And I love how he's depicted here. Like, and Ian McDiarmid did his voice. Freaking spectacular. And yeah, so we learn here that Dooku has been doing Sidious's bidding for some time. It has not just been recently. It's been happening for some unknown amount of time. But yeah, it's been happening a bit. Been going on for a little bit of time. And poor Yaddle, who you had mentioned this earlier. I agree. I think she, to some extent, was agreeing with the stuff that Dooku is saying.
Because Dooku's basically at this point, we'll go back. He's frustrated that Qui-Gon has now been murdered. He's telling Sidious, you've gone too far. And Sidious is basically saying, like, bro, that's going to happen. We're trying to reshape the galaxy. There's going to be more deaths. You knew this when you signed up, basically. And Dooku's like, yeah, I know, but Qui-Gon was my boy. He could have been an ally for us. And I love that Sidious says, yeah, an ally for you.
Right.
Yeah, if he was alive, you would have tried to turn him and kill me. Love that. And as they're talking, Yaddle hears them, and I got the sense that Yaddle, to some extent, was agreeing with maybe not everything that Dooku was saying, but at least part of what Dooku was saying. And Sidious were saying that there is something very wrong with the Republic and how things are operating.
Oh, I absolutely agree. Because you figured they did have a couple of different conversations in this episode. Like they had that conversation at the beginning about Qui-Gon, and I feel like that was kind of maybe not necessarily planting the seed, but that kind of got Yaddle's wheels turning with some of the things that Dooku said, and then hearing him speak, I think Yaddle's definitely come to that realization that things are not great with the Jedi right now. I think she probably had an idea, but this is at least knows that she's not by herself. This thought.
Which sucks. Bull Run mentions, I think Yaddle is more wise than Yoda. I love Yoda. Since I was a little kid, I have. But he was he was a big part of why the Jedi Order became what they were at this point, and he had a hand in the destruction of the Jedi Order, essentially. It kills me. I hate saying it because I love Yoda so much. But yeah, to your point, Bull Run, Yaddle is swift to what's going on. She understands that the Republic is not in a good way. Things are not working like they should be. And she basically says to Dooku, like, hey, we could work together. You don't have to do that. You don't have to go all the way to the dark side for us to make some change here. Don't do this, homie.
Yeah, you don't have to be alone.
But this makes me appreciate Yaddle so much more. And I love how she winds up dying so much more than the Legends story of how she died. In Legends, she basically sacrificed herself for Anakin. This is more dope, I think.
Yeah, I did not read that, but I think this
I'm trying
kind
to
of a
remember.
treacherous way to die.
I think she puts her body over a bomb that's going to go off. I think. Bull Run, great point. I did notice the robes that Mace wears. So let me go back to the image of Mace quickly.
Very
right?
White.
Yeah, very, very white.
Light colored.
And Bull Run mentions, looks like she's wearing High Republic clothes, which, let me go back. Let me see if I can pull up an image quickly.
See, I think the High Republic's a little bit more ornament.
Yeah, they have a little bit more ornament, like gold in them. Let's see if I can. Come on. But I do think that it is it's definitely a different look. And I think that's the point, right? So like, here's our boy Ram. Kind of, sort of, like if you look here with the tunic, kind of looking like how Mace is looking with all white. But you bring up a great point, Bull Run. That's supposed to be absolutely a visual reminder of the Jedi are falling. We're getting to a point where they're going to start wearing, right? Think about, let's go back to Ahsoka's images, right? Think about our boy Obi-Wan, Anakin. Mace isn't wearing any armor yet, but they've got armor on, man. The Clone Wars is about to start and they're rocking armor, right? And then look at Mace's tunic here, right? It's got a little bit of gold transitioning from that all white to that, maybe not gold, that's sort of like beige-ish sort of tunic and robe that he's wearing in the Clone Wars animated series, and then in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Absolutely. I think you bring up an excellent point, Bull Run, is that visually we're being shown that the Jedi are slowly turning. There's something happening within the Jedi Order, and we like what we're seeing here. They're doing the bidding of a corrupt republic, and we know that Sidious is the one, at least at this point in time, making things happen. Not fully, but it has a hand in that corruption. This moment.
So this was the one that I was thinking of earlier, where you have Yaddle in the light, have Sidious kind of like, he's not tucked away or trying to hide right yet, but he does try to hide
Yes.
from the sun coming in.
Yes.
Like Dooku's kind of half and half.
Yes. Oh my God. I literally,
Light and dark, baby.
when that door dropped on Yaddle, I literally yelled, "Oh my God."
Thought she was crushed.
I thought she was crushed. And then when she uses the Force to lift this up, man, what an image. And I love that. Clearly, she's bathed in the light. She is a servant of the light side. Just so freaking dope and so sad how she goes out.
Yeah, I think at this point, I mean, she was definitely struggling to get that door open.
Yep.
Go to try
Absolutely.
one more last chance to try to appease to Dooku, but
And at this point, Dooku has, you mentioned this earlier, he's done too much. He feels like he's gone too far. He's got to go through with it now. He wants to make the galaxy a better place. His way is he thinks it's got to be with Sidious. To be with Sidious, to be his apprentice, he's got to do this. And I'm going to shout out Stupendous Wave. We were watching his video earlier as we were eating dinner, and Stupendous Wave pointed this out that, Sidious, that manipulative son of a bitch, he does the same thing to multiple apprentices. He had Dooku kill someone to prove he was worthy of being their apprentice. He did that with Anakin.
yes. And what I'm also thinking of, like, I feel like this is also an issue with the Jedi. You have these people who've been taught to not have any emotion or connections with
Yeah.
people. And then when they do get what they think is a connection with people, they're going to do whatever you tell them.
Yeah.
And they're
That's a great
more
point.
easily to be manipulated.
That's an excellent freaking point, which again just shows you how
So silly.
corroded the Jedi Order has become at this point. The fact that they have to some extent, they're taught to almost be like emotionless robots. And yeah, absolutely, it makes a lot of sense that, hey, Dooku has found this person that he thinks is, wants the same sorts of things and is going to help reshape the galaxy so that there's order and the galaxy is going to be a safe place. And it would make sense that they would connect with one another. But the difference between Yaddle and Dooku here. But yeah, going back to Sidious having Dooku murk Yaddle to prove he's worthy of being his apprentice, having Anakin kill Dooku and Mace Windu, basically.
Yep.
And then in Return of the Jedi, wanting Luke to kill his father to prove that he could become his next apprentice. That's the playbook. That's Sidious's playbook. Murk someone so you could become my apprentice.
It worked multiple times.
But I mean, to kill someone in cold blood, that's a pretty terrible thing to do, right? A very dark side thing to do. So it would make sense as a Sith. Hey, you want to be a Sith? Prove yourself. Go kill someone in cold blood.
Then at that point, Dooku knew he wasn't coming back. I mean, look at what they talked about with Qui-Gon at the beginning. Just, I lost my train of thought.
That happens to me more often than I would like to admit. But man, loved seeing Yaddle. Loved her fighting. It was so dope. Very reminiscent of how Yoda fights. And I love this moment here.
Golden
The
glow.
golden glow of his eyes, as Sith eyes, as it fades to black, dude. And those eyes are the last things that we see. Just so dope. So good. So that's pretty much it. A lot of stuff we talked about. Again, I'm going to give this a solid 7 out of 10. While the Ahsoka, the final episode of the Ahsoka arc, I had some issues with it. I still enjoyed it. I'll probably watch it again and I'll probably enjoy it. I will watch each of these episodes again and I'll enjoy them. But the Dooku arc really hit home for me. It had a lot of really great moments. The Sith Lord episode especially was spectacular. I almost wish they ended the season with that episode.
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
But I get it. Ahsoka is like Dave Filoni's character. That's his girl.
And a fan favorite. Come on.
And a fan favorite. So I get it. But man, the Sith Lord, wow. That's an episode I'll go back to. I one of the things I did like about this, I also initially was like, I don't know how I feel about it, but now I like that these felt like one-shot comic issues for me. I mentioned that when I watched the first issue, or excuse me, episode. It felt like a one-shot comic to me, and that's I like that as a comic reader. I thought that was kind of cool. So all in all, I really enjoyed this. I'm hoping we're gonna get more. It sounds like there's gonna be more seasons coming. It hasn't been officially announced yet, but that's the sound of it. I'm kind of bummed. I didn't see a lot of YouTubers putting up videos about Tales of the Jedi, which is a bummer. I hope more people are down to clown with Tales of the Jedi.
I'm gonna go and hope that people watched Andor first.
Yeah.
We did the opposite today.
Yeah. We still gotta watch Andor.
We'll do it right
watch
now.
Andor. But I'm excited for the possibility of more seasons. I love the idea of, especially for a character like Dooku, getting backstory for him, for these characters that we haven't gotten a lot of experience, spent a lot of time with.
I mean, I would love to have, this was like, let's say 3-episode arc, like do a couple 2 to 3 episode arcs, do a couple just like one-offs. Like I would love to just follow just some random character for 15 minutes.
There's so many characters. Remember, during the Clone Wars, there's like 10,000 Jedi. So you could do so many different characters. Depa Billaba, Plo Koon, Jocasta Nu, any of the characters, Stacey Tin, any of the characters we saw in this episode. But then you can even do other characters that we didn't get to see in this episode.
Absolutely.
I would be all about it.
That would be cool.
Some
Fun.
High Republic Jedi. Yes, please sign me the hell up.
That would be really
Cal
cool.
Kestis, there's rumors that maybe he could appear down the line. That would be dope. Love it. So Bull Run, no, we have not watched Andor. Dani Girl and I both got our asses kicked by work, and then as soon as we finished up our work day, we immediately crushed Tales of the Jedi. And then we were preparing to do our live stream for Tales of the Jedi. So we haven't watched Andor yet at this point.
Might have to watch it before. Oh, we're both at work tomorrow.
Yeah, well,
okay.
Maybe. Well, yeah, well, it's gonna get watched for sure. I'm loving Andor,
Today
so
or tomorrow.
Don't you worry. We're gonna watch it, and I would like to do a stream about it at some point. Sadly, I didn't stream last week. We had to watch my scrub New York Yankees get their asses kicked and bumped out of the postseason, so we didn't get to live stream about Andor next week. So I'm thinking I might do a stream tomorrow or Friday for Andor, depending upon how work goes and how my freaking softball team does. So Andor is definitely going to be watched either today or tomorrow, and I'll probably do a stream either tomorrow or Thursday about it. Oh my God, yeah, Jesus.
No, sorry. I just want to be like, put the right info out there.
Yo, Saint Walker, thank you for joining the chat. We're kind of wrapping up here, but hey, glad you joined. Better late than never. Any final thoughts on Tales of the Jedi?
Solid. I thought this was great. I'm excited. I hope they do more. I think there's a lot of possibilities. Not that it's anywhere near the same thing, but like they did a lot of cool things with like Forces of Destiny. Just put it on steroids.
Yeah.
Make it Tales of the Jedi. Cool. I want lots of different episodes on lots of different people.
You know what I just had a thought about? I know we got a little glimpse of this. How dope would it be to see Leia and Luke training?
Be cool.
How freaking dope with dude, you could do so much stuff with Tales of the Jedi. Oh my god. Plug
I
it into
just-
my veins, Dani girl.
I just love how excited you just were. It was like the knee grab, like, oh my god, I just had a great thought.
Plugs, guys, I just want Star Wars content to be intravenously plugged into my veins. Like, give me all the Star Wars stuff. So yeah, Tales of the Jedi, there's so many possibilities. Again, I think this was a really solid first season. Excited for more to come. Yeah, I think that's a good spot to leave things off at. I feel like I want to go pass out now.
Fair enough.
Thank you guys for joining us, chatting along with us, watching us ramble on about Star Wars and Tales of the Jedi. Really appreciate it. If you haven't, subscribe to Star Wars Transmissions. Like this video. Let us know down in the comments what your thoughts were for Tales of the Jedi. I'm thinking there's probably going to be some videos I'll be releasing, breaking down some stuff from the season a little bit to complement what we talked about in our live stream today. So keep a lookout for those. Obviously, we drop videos regularly every week, so keep your eyes peeled for those as well. Always love chatting with you guys, so let me know your thoughts on Season 1 of Tales of the Jedi down in the comments. With that, my friends, may the Force be with you, and stay nerdy.